The Heavy Civil Association of Newfoundland and Labrador is an organization that represents members' interests in meetings and discussions with government departments, agencies, municipal councils, engineering consultants, and the general public. They are your voice in the road construction, water and sewer, and heavy construction industries. With their partnerships, they connect people, goods, and services through reliable, innovative infrastructure to boost prosperity and well-being in Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's a great place to work, right? You're surrounded by dedicated people who love what they do, and we're serving the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. You gotta love it. We're bringing brands to the province that we're proud of, we'd use personally, so it really makes us really happy to be able to share that throughout the province. I think what's unique is our connection to the province, to the people we serve, and where we live. At the end of the day, all the equipment we sell is meant to keep the province moving.
Well, folks, welcome back to Gale Force Wins. We are actually at the conclusion of the Heavy Civil Association Newfoundland and Labrador AGM and Conference, and I'm here to give the last word to our sponsor, Harvey and Company. And I tell you, it's a funny life. You start to see people that you try to remember, and I was like, oh, I know that guy. And then when I looked on his door, which you may not be able to see, Dave Walsh, Director of Sales. And then it all came back to me. We knew each other when we were teenagers. I've had a career in sales, and he's still in sales. So, sure. Dave, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit what you do around here.
So, I'm the Director of Sales Operations for Harvey's corporate between here and Corner Brook and all over Newfoundland. I take a keen interest in trucks. I've been at it now for about 35 years. And I do, take care of anything to do with sales operations, got a hand in parts, hand in service, right?
Yeah.
Anything we can do to keep the company, I guess, on an even keel, you know what I mean? Right? And
so you didn't start off as the Director of Sales?
No.
Tell us a little bit about how your career progressed.
So, as a young fella, I'll say a young fella, I suppose, 21, 22 years old, I started in parts, delivering parts here at Harvey and Company, yeah, right? I mean, you have your high school kind of things, but then I moved out of there, and a gentleman that was working there, I was friends with his wife, and they got me a job as the shipper receiver, all right? And I started there and moved up through parts counter for a number of years, probably 6 or 7 years. Between there, moved to a couple of different companies along the way, and came back here. Got mostly into I was into service sales at the same time, selling trucks, equipment, and doing the service side of at that time the Kubota dealership that was part of Harvey and Company, and then I went strictly at trucks for a number of years with truck sales manager. And then progressed into the Director of Sales Operations for Harvey and Company.
Amazing. As I said, I've had an entire career in the sales world. I was a sales manager at Mazda for a while. I know what goes on over there. Not an easy job. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy of customer service.
For me, everybody goes on about customers always number one, yeah. and that is true. But the truth of the matter is things are getting, I guess, more evolved. The customer is more educated on what they are, so you have to be more educated on what you have, right? So what we get into a lot of when it comes to customer service is making sure that you listen to the customer, make sure he's or she is taken care of, and not only to leave the customer once the machine is gone or the truck is sold or whatever the case may be. I always put myself as the first point of contact. If you have a service issue, if you got a parts issue, if there's something that you're not quite happy with, then you call my phone or text me, and I'll get it straightened out for you.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but you, as a company, had 2 trade shows going on at once.
We did.
I can only imagine. I know what one is like and how that can stretch you. How did you pull off 2 trade shows at once?
Well,
the Ag Show was one and the Heavy Civil was the other.
So we're lucky enough that we have a couple of good fellas around. I'll say a couple, but when I say a couple, I mean a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in Corner Brook, I got Perry Vallis and Ryan Hull as sales fellas out there. So, and Todd Rollings is the general manager out there. So we brought all 3 of those in.
Yeah.
Right. Perry does a lot of the ag sales, so for Corner Brook. So he was the natural progression to go to the ag show that we had on to go. Allison in here does a lot of the ag sales, and so does Sam. Sam being the son of the owner.
Yeah, I interviewed Sam there a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yep. So Sam's a good young fella,
Yeah.
right? And learning the business and getting into it. So he's coming along very well. Then you have, like I say, the 2 of those were natural to go down to the ag show and take care of that. I got Todd Fisher, who's been here since '98, I think Todd came. I just hired Kent Abbott as another sales fella. He's been in the industry for 30-odd years as well. So they all know equipment. So they came down to the Heavy Civil show and they got that side of it. Yeah. Right. I also try to incorporate Lauren. Lauren is our our sales coordinator. So she does a lot of the logistical stuff for me and the invoice stuff. And so I like to have her in the middle of it as well, because I like to be at a point where when you go through as you start to move up. So nobody wants to be just, as a receptionist. No, everybody likes to kind of move. So she started here as a receptionist. Then she moved into the sales coordinator's job. And as time goes on, if she stays and works, works in the industry, she'll move into the sales side of it. She can do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I never like to have something that's going to be static.
No.
All right. I always like something moving.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. One in particular, you've been around this industry a long time. I guess you've been at a lot of Heavy Civil Association shows and stuff. You were at the gala event last night, I believe.
I certainly was.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, the association and what it means to you guys.
Well, for us, we got, a lot of trucks, a lot of equipment on the move, and a lot of these people have been customers of ours for many years. I don't like pointing out different customers because you might forget somebody. But we do have a lot of customers that we respect in the industry, and there's a lot of customers that respect us in the industry. Right, so it could be the company under the current management, we'll say, and I'll mean Lynn's father, Roger. Yep. He started this company or took over this company in 1993, I think was the date.
So you predate him.
I predate him.
Yeah.
I do.
Wow.
Yeah. But he took it over then, and we changed the way the business was being run, and made it a very viable business. And in the industry, it shows, right? So we've always worked on parts, we've always worked on service, we've always worked on getting the machines out there, and our customers kind of notice that, right? We got a good product in International, we got a great product in New Holland, we got a good product in Kubota for the West Coast, and we got a good product in XCMG now coming up.
Yeah, you're excited about that one.
I am very.
Tell us a little bit about that excitement.
Well, the thing about it is that when we're looking at it's a Chinese product, right? And
as most of them are, I've learned
in one form or another, there's more Chinese stuff in a lot of gear. So when I look at the Chinese product, I went down to the Connex down in Vegas, and I was walking around and looking for another line to bring in to help us, advance our sales and all that kind of stuff. So I came across XCMG, and what I thought to myself more than anything else is, I thought it looked North American, right? So they're square and they're boxy and that kind of thing. The XCMG looked very North American-like, and I checked into I was looking at the loaders that were there, and I noticed that they had Cummins engines, ZF pumps, that kind of thing, and I knew that okay, hang on, this is something different, right, from what I've seen in a Chinese product. So we looked at that, and then I looked at some of the excavators that looked really, really North American and heavy, good looking machines. So when we came back, we from there, I got in with Barry as our Chief Operating Officer for Harvey and Company, and Kevin as well as the Chief Operating Officer for the Pike Group. So we got together and started talking about it. Kevin got a hold of the XCMG rep that I was talking to, and myself and Barry went out to Stony Plain, Alberta, to look at their operation out there, where we first got to operate some machines and learn the way that their machines were put together and how to look fairly good. I mean, it looked really good actually, and I noticed that the smaller machines were using the well-known Yanmar engines.
Yeah.
And so it made more sense for us to get farther into that.
Yeah.
Price points were good, quality was good, parts availability was good, right? And even down to the fact of when we were talking about training for service, as we're getting into now, they're willing to send down, reps from China and from Alberta or wherever, so that we can train our mechanics on how to repair these machines and what's new and what's available.
You know what comes to mind there, listening to your story, and thank you for telling us that, is that you guys don't just go to a show and then take people's word for it.
No.
You actually go and see the equipment in operation, and that is a huge commitment. The amount of time you had to take from being in here and managing the sales, but it's a real level of attention to detail, I think.
It is. We try to keep, nobody. I guess we could say that you don't want to be just listening to somebody talking about machines until you put your hands on it, until you get to look at the superstructure of the machine, see what way the steel is, how thick, how much, how good it is, right? You don't know.
No.
Right? So you can listen to everybody else talk, but you don't know. So we tend to I'll never call myself an operator, but I know enough about a machine and know enough to when we're operating to be able to say, okay, yeah, this feels pretty good, right? And the whole idea then is to get it in and get some fellas to try them out, demo those machines, see what they think, make some changes, which is one thing that I'll say about the XCMG, and Hengsha is also a Chinese product as well.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about those in a minute. But, you can go back to them with stuff and say, look, this needs to be changed. And within a week or so, they got what you want to change changed.
Yeah.
Right? Like I look at, I have a loader coming we're going to send to Craig in New Brunswick to get the plow gear put on, right? And that's for stock, just to demo to people. And, when I looked at that, I need, you need limited slip differentials, that kind of thing that, a lot of the Chinese stuff didn't have. And we started talking about that. They made sure that they went to ZF, bought those axles, made sure it was limited slip. And then they developed that machine to make sure it was going to be good for the North American or Canadian market, right? So they'll work with you, very, very astute, very, very detail-oriented, I guess is the way to put it. And then, of course, this pretty much the Chinese market started with our Hengsha forklift, right? So we went and looked at a line of forklifts, and we had another brand for years, right? And we decided that we needed to change things up a bit and change the way we're doing a few things, try to bring down the price point a little bit, to make it more competitive with other brands. And we went to Hengsha and we looked at the machines, and I sit back again and it's the same as XCMG. Sat back and looked at, okay, well, what's making them different? And what makes them different is that they're using, the North American look, the North American manufacturers. So when you look at, say, that Hengsha forklift, well, the forklift is one part, but the engine was, in the gas engines, they were using GCT engines, which a lot of other people use. And they are also using cascade masts and forks and all that kind of thing. So it made it like, again, a North American machine, right? Like the way they are, like the way they're set up, like the people that are working, say, they have a place in Montreal or Vaudreuil, I think it's called in
Yeah.
Quebec, and in Mississauga, and they're a young company, and it's really exciting to work with a young company because they like to move, and you got to move with them, right?
We're going to clue it up now, but one thing that comes to mind as you're talking, product is one thing. Product is great. You need a product that works.
Sure.
You've talked about the product. It's quite obvious to me that the people matter. I'm going to ask you the last question. Tell us what the team here means to you. You've been here a while. Tell us what the team means.
Well, I've seen a lot of people come and go over a number of years. And some moved in and retired, some left, right? But I think that the main thing for us is that you got to have dedication, right? And dedication is hard to find in this day and age, right? When we're looking at different companies and all that, you see a lot of people moving and going, but we've been lucky enough in a lot of cases to have people that we've hired over a number of years that are dedicated to the Harvey and Company brand, not necessarily to the machines you're selling, but to the brand, right, to the company. So, here I can go to these places, to XCMG, I can go to Hangshaw, I can go to International, wherever we go, and I got people here that are going to pick up the slack, or just go run with whatever they have. Right? I don't have to worry about, well, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that. So, I mean, when you're talking that level of experience, the level of dedication to the company, right? I really like that.
Yeah.
Right? And I see that, again, when you come, I like to start with some younger people at certain times and make sure that you kind of develop them, because we got a couple of older people that we can develop.
Yeah.
That are developed, and then you got the younger ones that you can help develop to move up to that level.
Yeah.
And then that guarantees that your company later on is still going to be viable, right? So, yes, you see a lot of people. What I noticed different today again is that, a lot of the younger people, it's a lot of on the phones, on the internet, and that kind of thing. A lot of business is done through the social medias and all that kind of stuff that an older fellow like myself is probably not as comfortable with as what a Lauren or Alison or Sam is, right? But everybody working together really, gets things moving. And when you're looking at a sales side, right? For example, we're talking, there's no substitute for being in somebody's face. Yeah. Being out talking to people, making sure that what you're doing is what they need you to do. What you have is what they want, right? Because there's no good to try to sell somebody something that it's not, going to suit the needs of them, because all that's going to happen is that they're going to get upset and you're going to drive a wedge between yourself and that customer. So our guys are pretty good at that, I got to say. On the parts side, both here at Cornerbrook, I think that we've got a lot of good younger people, especially in Cornerbrook. We got a couple of young fellows just started, and we got a senior fella out there as well who really learn together, and they can take things to the next level. In here, we got a lot of experienced fellas, more so experienced, and they know what the customer needs. They've seen machines from being around for 20 or 30 years. They've seen the machines that started before with a mechanical engine, and now we're all into the electronic age and all that kind of stuff. So they moved along with the I guess the changes in the industry. In parts here, we talk with Bruce Penny, and I'll mention Bruce because Bruce has been here. He was here when I came in 1990, right? And he's still here. He could have retired a number of years ago, but he's a dedicated fella, and probably, to be honest, one of the best customer-related people that we have, because he's that kind of a guy. Right, and again, I don't single out too many people because I'll say a retirement age, he's good to deal with all these guys. Every customer loves him, right? And again, we got enough knowledge here to help anybody. Yeah. right? It doesn't matter if you're coming in looking for a small machine or if you're coming here looking for, you know, a triaxle lift truck or whatever you want to call it, right? We can help you with it, right?
Well, folks, this is Dave Walsh. I actually knew him when we were teenagers. I probably haven't seen him in 20 years, but I can tell you this is obvious that you're totally dedicated to this business. No wonder your customers keep coming back. Gale Force Winds is very grateful that you guys, you know, invested in us and the Heavy Civil Association. Thought leadership's really important. Some people say, oh, words are just words. Well, words often go into action, and you guys take action. That's quite obvious. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. You had the second last word. Kevin will have the last word. Thank you.
All right, Jerry, thank you very much. All right.
It's a great place to work, right? You're surrounded by dedicated people who love what they do, and we're serving the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. You gotta love it. We're bringing brands to the province that we're proud of, we'd use personally, so it really makes us really happy to be able to share that throughout the province. I think what's unique is our connection to the province, to the people we serve, and where we live. At the end of the day, all the equipment we sell is meant to keep the province moving.
The Heavy Civil Association of Newfoundland and Labrador is an organization that represents members' interests in meetings and discussions with government departments, agencies, municipal councils, engineering consultants, and the general public. They are your voice in the road construction, water and sewer, and heavy construction industries. With their partnerships, they connect people, goods, and services through reliable, innovative infrastructure to boost prosperity and well-being in Newfoundland and Labrador.